The history of the GTR is chronicled by decades of non-stop motorsports victories. Its utter dominance in touring car racing was so constant, it always seemed to be faster and more capable than every other car in the field, no matter the weight penalty. While the GTR of today doesn't compete as regularly, its supremacy continues. The modern version seems to be a magic number generator, always producing acceleration and handling results that redefine what's possible. And now we have a version in the US built for the track to continue that history, the 2014 GTR Track Pack. What is a track pack for the GTR? Well, it turns out it's not a whole lot. What you get are some brake cooling guides for the front and rear rotors. Down here you have the same forged raised wheels that you get on the Black Edition, and they're wrapped with the same sticky Dunlop tires. But behind them are the Bilstein shocks, and those have been retuned, and you also get stiffer spring rates. Now inside you have seats that look like they came out of a Pep Boys catalog, but they're wrapped with a material that is extra sticky, so it should hold you in place during sustained G-load. The GTR is constantly able to deliver superlative numbers, and this track pack is no exception. But it's not just the incredible speed, but how easily you can access it. A few toggle switches lands you in launch control, and then that 0 to 60 result is tied with the fastest production cars we've ever recorded. The braking and handling numbers are just as impressive. Its stopping distance is tied with the second best we've ever recorded. And the same goes for the figure 8 lap time. Now, the last time we had a GTR, we went on and on about how it did in normal magazine testing, 0 to 60 quarter-mile skid pad, figure 8 and all that stuff. But now we have the GTR Track Pack, and we are on a racetrack. So we're going to see how well it does here at Streets of Willow. First, to do that though, we have to put the diff in race mode, we have to put the suspension in race mode, and the traction control and stability control in off mode, which is the best mode. Now, let's get started. Nothing in the world that goes down a road or through a racetrack quite like a GTR. A rapid, just absolutely ferocious and insane acceleration out of a corner is like nothing else. It seems to be why this car is made, is to just explode out of corners. Everything it does is for that goal. You have a lot of torque that's delivered pretty early, and you have a ton of traction thanks to the all-wheel drive system and the tires that are on this car. And so when you get to a point on a corner where you start applying the throttle, you can just go flat. And the fun part about driving this car on a track is just seeing how far from an apex or after an apex you can go flat on the throttle, and how quickly you'll just explode out of corners. It's ridiculous. You only get a very slight amount of oversteer. This car doesn't seem to do it. It just wants to go fast, straight, and oversteer isn't fast. It's fun, but it's not fast. This car only does fast. Now, what you get out of the track package isn't a completely different car. This is still the same old GTR. They've just tweaked a few things to make it, I think, last a little bit longer on a racetrack, to help you drive it a little bit better. Now, the stiffer springs, the revised dampers, they give the car a great sense of control through the bumpier bits, but the car rides stiffly. It rides very stiff. You get all kinds of bumps and impacts and crashes and whatnot over some of the rougher parts of this track. And this is a pretty rough track. Like right there. Now, if those changes don't seem all that impressive, it's because they really don't need to be all that serious. This car is so capable in stock form that it doesn't need a dramatic change in its hardware in order to dominate racetracks. It does that easily. This car makes machines that cost twice as much of it look dumb in terms of performance. A lot of people say that the GTR works so well is because it cheats physics. It doesn't. It just uses physics to its advantage. Think about it. You have 4 big sticky tires. You have very quick torque delivery, immediate torque delivery, and very short gearing. Now, those short gears are going to send that quick torque delivery to all 4 of those sticky tires, and that means really good acceleration. And the other interesting thing is this car isn't all-wheel drive all the time. In fact, it wants to be 0 to the front, 100% of the power to the rear all the time. And it only sends power to the front when it starts detecting that the rear wheels are slipping. At times it can feel like you're driving a science project. There's all these vibrations and clunks and things happening in the drivetrain. The sound it makes, it doesn't sound quite like anything else. It's got this metallic howl like you're sitting in a jet plane. Now, sure, it isn't the most organic handling situation. It's more brutal. I mean, this doesn't have the delicacy that you get in some mid-engine sports cars, or even some front-engine sports cars. But you have to admire the technological ability on display here and how well this thing works as a supercar destroyer. That's essentially what this is. It's a giant killer. But to find out how fast this GTR can go, we'll hand it over to Randy Popst.
Well over 100, into the turn 1 kink. This new GTR is a better balanced car than any GTR before it. Into turn 2, a little bit off camber sweeper, tiny bit of push, but the traction is amazing. And turn 4, a little rough. Nissan soaks it up. This is a very stable and yet still balanced car. Into the bowl. In this long bank sweeper, I just got my foot down and it just sticks, no fear. Into the fast kink. It's really bumpy through here. I can attack it and the car just sticks. Pretty amazing through there. Down to second gear. Just launches off the corner. Right before the skid pad, heading back to the front straightaway. Little push, got the power early, got some push. And then blasting off the corner like shot out of a gun over the finish line. The Nissan GTR, an extremely accessible, well-balanced package, easy to go fast in this car.
With a staggering 1 minute, 19.5 second lap time, the GTR is faster than anything we've ever lapped here. It's simply extraordinary. This is faster. It doesn't matter against what, the GTR is simply faster. While the modern GTR may not be as involved in motorsports as its predecessors were, it still matches the precedent they set. If there's any real description for that, it's a history of dominance.